So let's just look at that. The best of times, gravity. I've just done a montage. I mean, the fourth railway bridge is just absolutely incredible achievement in my perspective. But there are many. This is a picture I took in Egypt earlier this year and is dated about, I think, 5000 BC or something like that. So the idea of balance and levers and so on was around very early. So, you know, all these things are just different aspects of the way we've conquered gravity, in a sense. Here's one of the most recent bridges, which it's just incredible. If you've ever seen the Millau Bridge in France, you will know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, and you get an opportunity to take a little detour and look at the Millau Bridge in the south of France, go, because it's just an incredible bridge. So we've done pretty well with gravity. We've done pretty well with heat as well, haven't we? There's a model of the rocket, which I discovered quite by accident, was made in Wales just recently and was being tested in Somerset. We just happened to see it when we were out one day. And jet engines, just incredible pieces of kit. And, you know, if you presented with the idea of a jet engine and you'd never seen one, you think, how the hell does this thing work? It is an incredible piece of technology in my perspective. And then electromagnetism, we've got electrostatics, we've got induction motors, we've got new energy systems, alternative energy. And information. This is the most important picture on this montage for me. That's a heart pacemaker. I have one. And that's given me a lease of life over the last 10 years. Very small thing. It's only that big in reality. And it helps to keep your heart going. And the latest cloud computer chips, 1.3 billion transistors on a postage stamp. It's just mind-boggling. I'm so impressed. But then we come to the age of systems. You look at the internet, you look at we're very conscious of the world's environmental system. We are conscious of the brain, literally, and the complexity of what's going on in the brain. And these things are presenting a big challenge to us as we speak. And of course, human relationships are an important part of all that. So all those are good things, the best of times, but there are some not so good things as well, the worst of times. And I started thinking about engineering through starting to think about why things go wrong. So here we have Chernobyl, we have acid rain, we have car accidents, train accidents. This is the famous Tacoma Narrows Bridge. So the worst of times, there are some really quite difficult things that we engineers are having to face up to. So there's a widespread fear of technology, and maybe not in particular in the group here, because many of us are technical people. But we have to recognize that outside of our discipline, there are many people who are quite intimidated by technology and the unknown. It is true to say, and I'm not going to apologize for it, there are many engineers who are very narrow technically, and technically narrow. And that is something, as a profession, we do need to recognize. We have allowed ourselves to be intellectually dominated over the last 100 years by science. And I'll say a bit more about that. And this is, you may disagree with me there, and we need to have a debate about it. But I think the big thing is the gulf. I used to say it was a gap, but it isn't a gap, it's a gulf between industry, practice, and academia. And Patrick alluded to that in his introduction. And of course, theory, because we're dominated by science, so much of our theory undervalues soft things. And by that I mean human things, judgment, thinking, making judgments, thinking about the human side. And of course, we tend not to communicate very well. If you look to our educational system, certainly the one I came through, I think it's a lot better now, there was no attention paid to communication other than writing lab reports, and no attention paid to speaking or any of the other skills of that kind. As a consequence, as a profession, and I'm generalizing, we're not too good at communicating what we do. So the consequence, in my view, the worst of times theme, is that engineering is significantly undervalued by wider society, with the consequence that many people perceive that we engineers are highly specialized, that the clever bits that we do are actually given to us by science, by scientists, and we just apply it. That at the other end, I'm speaking as a structural engineer, and we deal with architects, if the beauty, the totality of buildings is designed by architects and not by engineers. That engineering is not relevant to anything else but itself. Now that's an important point. That you can buy engineering judgment, engineering services, like you buy a product. And I know that many in the financial sector see engineering as a product that you buy. Of course, there are engineering products. We've all got mobile phones and so on. They are products. But behind that are engineering services, which you can't buy like a product. And engineering is rather boring. We all know about that with respect to convincing kids that the career in engineering is worth following. So, where are we coming to? Language, to me, is the key to dealing with all these issues. In particular, I've been concerned about risk, uncertainty, and complexity. But systems thinking is about integration, it's about synergy, it's about bringing things together and gathering things together to get more out of it. And so, and dealing with the unintended consequences, which some are bad and some are good. Karl Popper, the philosopher, defined social science as a study of unintended consequences of human action and decision. To me, that is really a very perceptive definition. Is not one that necessarily a lot of social scientists accept, or philosophers even.